Good morning and welcome to today's Fort Worth Regional 3 press conference featuring Texas Longhorns head coach Vic Schaefer. We'll begin with an opening statement from Coach and then open it up for questions.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning, everybody. It's a beautiful Palm Sunday morning. Appreciate everybody being here. For those of us that are been raised in the church, it's a special day. So I appreciate y'all being here and taking time out of your day. But Palm Sunday's really, really special. It was special for me as a kid growing up in the church, and it's a day that it's all about giving, and I think that's something that when you look at my team and you see how they give of each other to each other, it's what makes them really, really special. And God gave us His Son. A week later after today, it was obviously way different than today, a long time ago, but yet that was His gift to us. And as I listened to my preacher this morning preach back in Mississippi, talking about how this is, a special day and a day that God gave us His Son, I think of God giving me this team and how special they are. And it's just really been fun to coach them. And, yesterday we played a really good Kentucky team, but obviously we played really well. And now we've got to get ready for a tremendous Michigan team. Kim's done a great job. I've watched them from afar for several years, and her team plays really, really hard like mine does. And so we'll have to play really well tomorrow night, but we're excited about that opportunity, and again, know that we're going to get this time of year in this game, you're always going to play somebody really, really good. And they're well coached, got really good players, great players, and there'll be some matchups that are going to be critical in the ball game. So, again, appreciate y'all being here. It's a beautiful day, beautiful Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning. It's morning, isn't it?
Morning, yeah.
I'm not sure what time it is, y'all. I hadn't been asleep very much. So, anyway, if y'all got some questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
We'll open up with questions. State your name and media affiliation.
Skyler Dixon with the Associated Press. Vic, I'm assuming you crossed paths with Jody Conrad quite a bit before you took the job, but I just wondered how important was it to you to have her to be a part of the program, and how much do you think her presence gives your players a sense of the history of the program?
Well, I can tell you it was critical, me growing up in Texas, coaching in Texas. We actually shared a story last night about maybe the first time I crossed paths with her in a personal setting, physically being in the same presence. And it was way, way back in 1990 when I'd just taken the job at Sam Houston State. And I think we were in Duncanville High School over here in Dallas, and she was recruiting Sinitra Henderson. And, I was this young, real green coach. And so, when I took the job at Texas, it was critical for three things. For Coach Conrad, for Chris Plonsky, CP, who's here today, and for Kathy Harston, for me personally to know that I had their support and their blessing, because in my eyes, they are Texas women's basketball. And I don't take being given the opportunity to be the head coach at Texas lightly. I understand the history. Do my players? Probably not. But if you ask the history of any of these players, going back that far, they're probably not going to understand that. But Coach has been around. When I took the job, I envisioned me and her having coffee after games the next morning, talking about the game the night before. I mean, I just have so much respect and admiration for her and what she's done in her career. But those three women have not only given their lives to Texas women's basketball, they've given their lives to women's basketball, period. We are who we are today because of a lot of what those three have done for the game. And so, I just, again, really blessed to be at a place and again, understand the history and tradition there, and don't take it lightly. Love her being with us. She's with us now, and, it means a lot to me. It means a lot to my players. It does, to answer your question.
Kirk Bowles from the Houston Chronicle, Vic. I was curious, you were talking about matchups a little bit. How would you compare Rory to Brooke as far as point guards? And is this ultimately a test of who's got the best defense?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of tests tomorrow. I think both teams just play the game so hard, and you know how I feel about my point guard, and I think I don't pay a lot of attention to social media, but I did hear something about some website picked the other point guard yesterday in matchups. That's a bad decision. But I just, again, we have a lot of respect for Michigan and their players. And, again, I'm not trading any of mine for anybody. I love my team. I love my kids. I love how they're really focused right now. I love their demeanor. This team cares deeply about each other, more so than any team I think I've ever had. I was reading where the coach at St. John's, Rick, Patino, was talking about how his team was so unique this year that they never, going back to the summer, they never had a fight. Nobody ever got mad at each other. Nobody, you could probably say the same thing about my group. They might have challenged each other at times, but there's never been anything like that. No shouting matches, nothing. I mean, this is a team that's really close and loves each other and plays for each other. So I'm really proud of them, and again, it's been fun to be a part of them. Well, I think obviously you and I both know defense plays a big part this time of year, and a lot of times when you're, we treat this as a road game, so there's certain things that we have to do on the road, we feel like, in order to win, and and defense is certainly a part of what we do at Texas, and I think, watching film on them, boy, they can play a lot of different ways defensively. And I think I got one day in a shoot-around to try to get my team ready for that.
Thanks. Hey, Coach Schaefer, Michael Vogel, ESPN.com. One of the things that Kim was talking about earlier is that she and her players have had this sort of mentality of you have to become contenders before you can become champions as you're building a program. I wonder if you could relate to that. I know you can, with what you did at Mississippi State, and how you do have to make those steps, and what that's like for a program.
Yeah, it's you can go back to the Sweet 16. In 16, we get beat 60 up in Connecticut by the best team in the history of the game. And then 365 days later, God gives us the same opportunity on the biggest stage, the Final Four, when they won 111 straight. And that same exact team that got beat 60 a year before stops the nation's longest winning streak at 111. But it took a ticket. Unfortunately, it took the ticket getting beat 60 to get the ticket that helped us win in the semifinals over in Dallas. And so sometimes those are growing pains and things that you have to go through. And certainly I think that's a fair statement by her. I think it's very true. You go through these stages, and again, I've said this a million times, the only thing harder than building it is sustaining it. Like, that's really, really difficult. You look across the country, y'all, there's lots of teams that 5 years ago they were, had some pretty good success, stayed in the top whatever, and now all of a sudden they're still competitive and they're in the top 25, but they're not in that top 10 neighborhood, year in and year out. And I think that's what's hard on us coaches. I think that's what Corey's talking about. It is hard, and she's not asking. I don't think any of us are asking for any sympathy or anything like that. It's just, man, it's tough to live in that neighborhood consistently year in and year out. And we all embrace it. We all love what we do and who we do it with. But the fact of the matter is, this isn't easy. Winning's really hard. and winning at that level consistently year in and year out, it's really, really, really hard. And so, but again, I don't need to be up here defending anybody. I just think that was the comment, that it's just really hard to sustain and be in this neighborhood year in and year out. It's just hard.
Cassandra Negley with Yahoo Sports. Rory spoke yesterday about urgency, again, knowing any game could be her last. How much do you feel like Texas playing its best basketball these last couple of weeks has been the team playing for her, knowing that for her?
Yeah, I'm not ready for it to be over either. I hugged her this morning at breakfast and said those same words. I think, again, our team embraces and loves each other equally. I think everybody knows, we've got 4 seniors, potentially 5 if I don't get that year back for Sarah. And so, but I think for all of them, the coaches consistently told them, you don't take these things for granted. I don't take these times for granted. These times are fleeting. So when you're in that moment, I want them to really step back and as the old folks would say, smell the roses, right? Really embrace, hey, we've gotten to this point. We need to really understand what it's taken to get here, because we're going to try to do it next year and the year after and the year after. So, but really embrace and understand where you are, what it's taken to get here, and then we have to continue to try to live at that level. So I do think we're all aware of we're not ready for it to be over with. And, for Rory, again, I've spoken many times about, I've seen her every day for 5 straight years. It's going to be a little different. It's going to be way different, not seeing her, but, that's part of the process.
Time for one final question.
Coach, Mia Fishman with USA Today. You talked about others giving their lives to Texas, so why have you given your life to Texas?
Our office 2 blocks from where I was born. The hospital's not there anymore. It's a vacant lot. I guess that's a sign of getting old. But growing up in that state and, knowing the history of Texas in general, and especially then in my industry, Texas women's basketball, again, I understand the people that I work for, the people that I represent, not just my administration, who's obviously entrusted me with their women's basketball program, a program that they feel very fondly of. But again, it goes back to the history of Texas women's basketball, and having done this for a while now, but done it at a young age when it was, Coach Conrad and how good they were for so many years and the elite level that they were at. And so that was kind of my charge, was to try to get them back to that elite level. And so for me, I'm all in. I was all in at Mississippi State. I'm all in at Texas, and I knew that when I took the job. I knew what came with it. I knew what the expectations were, and I wanted that. I embraced that, and so. But I think for me, you walk out on that floor yesterday and there's 12,000 fans in there. That says a lot about the people that care about our program. I carry that weight. And so, again, I don't run from that. I don't want my players to run from that. I want them to really embrace the name on the front of their jersey. Because if you represent the name on the front of your jersey, the back will take care of itself. But I think that's where our kids are. They understand that. When we're in an NCAA regional, and you go out there and there's There's a lot of orange in that building yesterday, and that's special. I mean, that's really, really unique and really special. So, you know, it's a place of elite. It's a place of greatness, but it's also a place where there's so much support. You know, coaches supporting each other. We've got a WhatsApp, all the coaches. I'm not a big WhatsApp guy, but in recruiting sometimes you got to use it. So I forget to get on here. But right now we have so many teams playing, but all the coaches are supporting one another. Hey, great job. You know, our men's swimming and diving just won back-to-back national championships. Everybody's on there. Everybody's on there about Schloss. They're on there about us. I mean, it's just it's a family. And you don't get that everywhere. You know, we had it at Mississippi State. We got it at Texas. And, you know, I'll finish. He's obviously got a date. He's looking at his watch. But I'll finish with this story. I think my second year, we were 29-7. We went to the Elite Eight. We finished 5th in the country. I'm at a head coaches meeting. There's 20 of us. We hadn't added beach volleyball yet. There's 20 head coaches at the table. As I'm sitting at the table, I look around and there's 10 head coaches that played for the national championship. 10. 4 of them won it. 6 of them finished second. I finished 5th in the country and went to the Elite Eight, and I'm not even in the top half in the room. For me, that's why you're at Texas. You want to be around greatness. You want to be around people that are wanting to be the very best you can be. So if you want that, if you want to wear that, if you want to try to be the very best you can be, that's why you're all in at Texas.
Thank you for your time today, Coach.
I hope you make your appointment, whatever you got.
Thanks.
Praise the Lord and hook 'em horns. Thank y'all.
All right, the Texas locker room is now open until 10:45. In just a moment, we'll have the student athletes up here. Rory. Good morning and welcome to today's press conference featuring the Texas Longhorns. Our student athletes joining us today are Rory Harmon, Brianna Preston, and Sarah Graves. Before we begin, if you have a question, please raise your hand. As a reminder, when you are called upon a question, if you could tell us who you're directing the question to. So at this time, we'll now start taking questions. Please state your name and media affiliation. Thank you.
Good morning. Cassandra Negley with Yahoo Sports. Sarah, Coach just said if you take care of the name on the front of your jersey, the back will take care of itself. I'm curious how you feel about that, especially given the week you've had.
Yeah, it's awesome because you kind of see the audience reaction last night to somebody that doesn't play much and puts all their energy into Texas, and Texas fans give that back. So it's not like they're chanting for Sarah Graves. They're chanting for the idea of college sports, that there's more than just yourself and more than your own success, and kind of pouring into each other gives more to you than anything you can do for yourself.
Hi, Rory. Cedric Golden, Austin American Statesman. Vic said he gave you a hug at breakfast this morning and said he didn't want this to be over. There's urgency here to win a championship, and are you feeling that urgency, and how excited are you for this next couple of weeks if you guys win today?
Yeah, he did say that. That's exactly how I feel. I've had several conversations with my family, Shaylee, about, like, I've never felt more locked in than any time in my career until, like, now. Like, I feel like I'm very locked in, and as a team, like, we all feel very locked in, and we don't want it to end right now. And I think that's the type of urgency that you're seeing and what you saw in yesterday's game. And so, yeah, we're just going to keep playing as hard as we can and leaving it all out on the floor.
Rory, Stephen Hawkins with the AP. You look at this matchup, and there's a lot of similarities in these two teams. The one differentiating factor is you guys have the experience of being here. They're still trying to get to kind of where you guys are. Can you talk about gaining that experience and what it's like to move from trying to get there to being there to kind of trying to get farther?
Yeah, this is Michigan's a great team. They're the number 2 seed. There's 8 teams left. They're here for a reason, and so that's something that you have to pay attention to. But yeah, having experience does help a lot. It helps a lot. Like, you understand the urgency that you have to have. The focus and the discipline that you have, and the connectivity and chemistry that you have to have with your teammates at this moment, because any game could be your last game, and so you don't want to look back and regret, like, oh, I didn't play hard enough, or you didn't leave it out on the court. But yeah, having that experience with Coach Schaefer and like a few of us who've been here a few times, it definitely helps, and we're trying to get that to permeate throughout our team.
Alexa Philby with ESPN. Rory, kind of building off of that, the Michigan folks are talking about this idea of you first have to be a contender in order to become a champion. As you all have, you in particular, I guess, have like helped to build this Texas program back to relevance, to getting back to the Final Four and hopefully even more. How would you describe that particular experience, like from your point of view and your vantage point of what it took to build from a contender and hopefully into a champion?
Yeah, it takes a lot of toughness, and I think that's what our team has. We've had some adversity this year, and how you respond to that adversity, I think, is kind of just shows your true colors and your true character. And I think we've responded in several situations, whether it's like injuries or losses. Like, we've always been able to respond very well, and so I think those teams who can respond like that when things may not be going your way have a great chance in the tournament, because in games like things, and especially when you're playing like higher seeds and higher competition, like there's going to be moments where it's not going to be going perfectly. Like, how are you guys going to keep your composure, and how are you going to stick together as a team? And so I think with that type of experience and more experience that we've had in the past, it helps a lot in these situations.
For Rory and Sarah, Angelique Shingelis from the Detroit News. The Michigan players are a little bit fired up about a UT social media post yesterday where it looks like you're putting Texas on the regional championship line. Was that intentional? What was that all about?
No, of course not. It was not intentional. Obviously, like, no one recognized in the moment, and if we did, we would quickly change it because we hadn't even played that game yet. But of course, like, if you're the other team, you're going to use anything for fire and anything for fuel, so that's valid enough. But obviously, we made a mistake, and we owned up to it immediately as we recognized. And we didn't recognize it until we left, and no one else said anything. So, no, yeah, we hadn't played that game yet, so obviously we hadn't won it. But yeah, no, that's fine. They can use that for fuel.
I think it's an example of having too many people putting the board up. We had 5 people holding it, and so we were so focused on putting it straight that we didn't even look at where
we're all like arguing like who's gonna put it up, like, because
Exactly.
we don't want to like some people don't want to do it. We want other people to do it. And we're not even like focused on like the board itself. We're trying to make sure the sticker's not on still, or it falls off. It was just so much happening in that moment, and like we made an honest mistake.
Not intentional.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Zoe Collins-Rath, Austin American Statesman. This is for all three of you. Michigan is a very strong shooting team, but what is it about these defensive matchups that you guys are excited to play them tomorrow?
We'll start with Sarah first.
It's just a fast-paced team, and we love fast-paced teams. We like playing up and down the court and putting pressure on them, and they do the same thing to us. So it's a pretty even matchup, and we're excited to play them.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. Tough battle, first time seeing them. So just having the veterans that we have to lead us, start us out the gate. Super excited to play them. They're young, but a lot of pride, a lot of fight. So it'll definitely be an exciting matchup.
Yeah, it's something. They're a great team, obviously, and I think I see a little bit of the SEC in them. Like, they play super hard defensively. They get a lot of rebounds. They crash. They're diving for loose balls, 50-50 balls. So it's obviously a little bit different than what we've seen, but, it's a little bit of familiarity with a lot of teams that we play in the conference.
Craig Way, Longhorn Radio Network. Bree, the no-look pass yesterday, is that it? How often is something like that worked on in practice? And Sarah, you have, it looks like, different demonstrations of celebration depending on the play. And I just want to get your thoughts on your reaction to that and how many different celebrations you have. Start with Bree with that.
Honestly, it was just a feel for the game. We do, it's a lot of moments in practice where I do passes like that. And in game, if you are a Texas fan and at the home crowd that we have back in Austin, I always like to get the crowd going, keep everybody excited on their toes, because you never know what, to expect. But I saw a play, and it just made the crowd erupt, and that was just a great moment, an energy shift for us. So.
I think she did a behind-the-back pass in the first round, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, we're getting used to it. To answer your question about celebrations, I'm not even sure what I did, because the problem is they're so talented and they're so good at what they do that I start running out of things to do on the bench. So I just start pulling out random things. Like I'm laying on the floor and just thinking whatever is the first thing that comes to my head. But I think Brianna Preston is one of the best passers in the nation. So to see her do something like that is so exciting, and we see it every day. So electric.
Rory, Kirk Bowles from the Houston Chronicle. Vic said today there was another website that rated the matchups and gave Michigan the edge at point guard, and Vic said that was a big mistake. So I was curious your thoughts on that and what you would think about Brooke.
Yeah, I don't really pay that much attention to those things. He might, but I mean, the game hasn't been played yet, so we'll see what happens then. But yeah, I don't pay any mind to that. I'll do what I need to do for my team so we can win, and I'm sure she'll do what she needs to do for her team so they can win. So it's going to be one of those matchups.
Tyler Fattel, the Daily Texan. Brianna, obviously this is a big year for your basketball development, and you have two accomplished veterans of the team right next to you. What do you think your biggest takeaways from this March Madness run or throughout the season from them two has been? And then for Rory and Sarah, what are you most excited for about Brianna's development?
I'd say to stay poised no matter what. Basketball is a game of runs, It can be in our favor, it can be against us. So just making sure I stay poised, especially as the point guard of this team, to make sure I can, direct our other teammates to get them where they need to be, or making sure that me and coach are on the same page, running plays, pushing in transition, whatever that may be. So just, staying under control, making sure my teammate knows that I got them, What y'all think?
You go first. What was the follow-up question about? So much. She's continued to do so well this year. It's really, really hard to stay ready for the moment when you don't know when your name's going to be called. So to go in and not only lead yourself in a good manner, but also taking responsibility for all five on the court is a really difficult task. I know Rory and Bree are both used to an insane level of responsibility that no one else gets. So to see Bree always ready for that moment and always ready to lead others and execute in a good manner herself is really cool to see. She's going to do so great next year. She's a great leader.
Yeah, to see her growth over freshman year to now, to grow that much in a short amount of time, and in this program underneath Coach Schaefer as a point guard, it's very challenging. And so, for someone like someone like Bree to do that, I'm just super proud. I'm glad that she's the way she is. She's just always willing to learn, always willing to give to others as well. And she's an electric player, as you guys know for sure, who are at the Moody Center quite often, but you can't catch her, and that's not even the thing that's that important. It's her ability to be a great teammate and be a great leader, and just be able to feed to other people all the time. You can't really find that a lot in a lot of players, but Bree's always ready for the moment. I kind of made a joke the other day. I feel like every time she gets on the court, it's not even about the shot making, but she doesn't miss, or she comes on the court and things change. She's making shots, running and getting the crowd excited. Things change whenever Bree comes on the court. So I've seen that growth, and I'm happy to see what she can do next year.
Zoe Collins-Rath. Sorry, Bree. Zoe Collins-Rath, Austin American Statesman. Earlier today, Vic talked about, the impact that Jody Conrad had on him when they first met in 1990, and now she's with y'all here in Fort Worth. How does it feel to have a sort of legendary coach like that sort of kind of pour into you and build you around the team, and what does that do for y'all team moving forward?
Yeah, I got this question asked yesterday or something similar, and I was like, Jody doesn't Miss Conrad, Coach Conrad. I don't know. She doesn't really she's always around us so much, but for someone of her caliber and her knowledge, she doesn't give us enough advice. I love her and talks more, but for her to be in our are like around us a lot. Like I get the feel, like I feel her presence. I feel that national championship presence. It's that undefeated season presence around us, and like that's almost like all you need. And so like when she's around, like and she likes to keep her peace, keep her distance. She talks to Coach Schaefer obviously a lot, but like to feel her energy all the time, like that's something that I think we need as a team. Like the historical, like traditional runs at the University of Texas, that's really good, and we really take pride in our tradition here.
Yeah, we're so lucky to have her around. I mean, when you talk about legacy and one of the greatest coaches to ever do it, I mean, we see her hanging in our practice gym. We see her hanging in the Moody Center just because she's such a legend. And so to have her come represent what we think is the best university in the world and give us advice and show us how it's been done before, and she's the only one to ever win a national championship at Texas, is awesome. And she was giving some advice to the freshmen yesterday. She's also encouraged me in practice. And so having a legend like that talk to you really means a lot, and it changes the way that you approach not just basketball but life and how we approach each other as teammates.
Yeah, I think her resume speaks for itself. So just to have her around, anytime you like walk past her or just say hello, it's always like, yeah, like I did this. Like it's like a reminder, like, yeah, I went undefeated, national championship, and I'm here to, give that energy to y'all. So it's really wonderful to have her around.
All right. Thank you for your time today.
Thank y'all.
Praise the Lord, Longhorns. Praise the Lord.
As a reminder, the Texas locker room will remain open until 10:45 a.m. Hammond Communications will post a recording of this press conference in the NCAA Digital Media Hub at ncaa.veractone.com. Transcripts will be provided by ASAP and will be posted shortly. Thank you for joining us.